Bird. We are starting our gratitude encounter on this Saturday, and our live participants will be able to participate as we go through the experience and expression of gratitude. However, if you're watching this on the recording, you still can benefit from taking some time for yourself to reflect on the questions that we ask throughout this power hour of gratitude. My name is Angie Chaplin. I'm one of the co-founders of the AF alumni community, and blessed to be here with the other co-founder of our group, Mary Jo McRae, who really kind of helped me get started in my own practice of gratitude.
So hi, everybody. I'm glad you're here. Gratitude became part of my journey early on because I was taking a mindfulness course at the same time that I discovered Annie and the alcohol experiment, and gratitude was something that was suggested there, and I thought I'd give it a try. And so I'm excited to be doing this with you.
And I am going to get started with sharing my screen. There we go. What you will see as a participant, whether you're watching it live or the recording, is at the top, you'll see the interactive app that we're using, menti.com. Our live participants have already downloaded and entered the code. You won't be able to do that if you're watching the recording, but like I said, you're still able to follow along with the questions and certainly pause and take a moment of gratitude for yourself and some of the prompts that we'll be giving. Really, there is no one right definition or description of gratitude. This is one that I appreciate because it talks about appreciation for all that we have, all that we are, and the desire to share that with others. So for me, gratitude is definitely an inside job. I think that's where it begins. But then it allows me the opportunity to share that expression of gratitude with other people. And I think that, to me, that act of service also ties in with, I think, MJ, you've talked about loving kindness meditations as part of what you have shared. And I think it fits very nicely with a loving kindness theme for meditation. So just to give you a moment to think about these questions, we will be heading into the live interaction part and ask you to partake in responding to these 4 questions. So in Mentimeter, you should be seeing the question pop up that asks you, where are you joining us from? And you will see that Mary Jo and I have entered our locations. So feel free to populate your responses. You'll see them pop up live on the screen, which is great to really demonstrate how global our experiences are when it comes to this journey. And that's honestly one of the great features, I think, of building community and connection, is that even though we are literally all over the world, we have this safe and shared space that we are able to connect and to share resources. So you can see where we're placed kind of geographically. We'll go on to the next question. This one is to think about a song that describes your relationship with gratitude. Now, for some of us, we might get stressed when we start thinking about, oh my gosh, I have to be thankful for stuff now. What am I going to come up with? For others of us, it might be that we've, kind of started a gratitude practice, maybe got a little bit away from it. Maybe we need to get back to it. So it might be somebody we used to know. Maybe we're just getting started and we're kind of building our momentum for experiencing gratitude. Maybe we're a believer, but we just haven't quite gotten to the point of making it a consistent part of our experience. And then there's some of us who are truly madly, deeply feeling the love for gratitude. And sometimes our relationship with the practice of gratitude ebbs and flows based on some of our own circumstances in life. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. This is a question asking you to rate how full is your cup. So again, on the slide, you will see the poll pop up asking you to rate. You'll have a slide bar to kind of enter. If you were to evaluate and share how full is your cup of gratitude, how full is your cup of hope? And that's in this moment. So right now, how grateful are you feeling? And how hopeful are you feeling? And there might be a couple of different numbers there, and that's totally okay. This part is anonymous, so we don't know who put in what numbers, but it looks like, at least for the group live with us, we're right around the 7.3 mark. So certainly above the average. Things are bumping up as we get more people weighing in on that. And then as we go through this power hour, we'll come back to this question at the end and kind of see how effective we were in increasing the level of hope and the level of gratitude in our cups. So just to get us kind of grounded in some common language around gratitude, I have shared words of the day frequently in our group. And these two, of course, really capture the not only definitions, but also some goals when it comes to practicing gratitude. And that's thankfulness, which is expressing gratitude. The word relief always throws me off a little bit. And, is it relief that we have abundance? Is it relief that we have the opportunity to express our thankfulness? So that's always given me a second to think about the context there. With the goal of gratitude, transforming common days into Thanksgiving, routine jobs into joy, and ordinary opportunities into blessings. Be mindful of taking nothing for granted. And then, of course, our word of the hour, gratitude, the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. The goal of gratitude is the mindfulness of taking nothing for granted. Every day is a gift. Be thankful for everything you already have while you pursue all that you want. Even though I have studied communications and language for most of my career, it seems limited many times in the English language of words to adequately capture some of the emotion behind emotions. And these are two words that I daily get like a vocabulary word of the day. And eudaimonia and optimascus are two words that have popped up that I think are more eloquent, perhaps, in describing all of the nuances of gratitude. And so while sometimes thank you and I'm grateful for you might be the bulk of our vocabulary, it helps be creative in thinking about some other ways to describe how we feel about abundance, how we feel about the love we have for the things and the people in our lives. Gratitude shifts what you see. And then when we're able to shift what we see, it shapes our experience with it. And Mary Jo, I know we all have had challenges in our lives. And you and I were talking about just how looking for the good in something that on the outside might not appear to be good makes a difference.
Yeah, no, definitely. My husband's had some health challenges, and I've been working on that. So as I shared with Angie, I really had to revisit my gratitude. And the meditation that I did today was finding gratitude in adversity. And it was really about when things appeared to be going wrong, where's the right in that? And there is always some rights happening. And so that was what I was reflecting on. And that is something, gratitude I find through practice now is more my default setting, but under challenging circumstances, I have to remind myself of that. And that's when I return to a more structured practice to just keep that mindset going.
Yes. And my practice really started with understanding kind of some of the benefits of gratitude. I tend to be a researcher. I like to understand evidence and data behind statements, or the research behind certain ways of thinking. And if you like to understand the science or the data behind the benefits of gratitude, there is a ton of science behind the benefits, everything from how it works on neural pathways in the brain, how it increases the levels of the happiness chemicals kind of in the brain and the body. And so if you're looking for reasons to develop or to deepen your gratitude practice, the science is there.
I was looking at this too this week and thinking about exercise, healthy eating, all those things. The research shows that we are more determined, we are more likely to make positive choices when we're practicing gratitude. There is even research that says we're more likely to move our bodies and exercise when we're feeling grateful. So it's an investment in healthy living for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's the part where we're giving all of us, even those on the recording, an opportunity to take a minute of mindful gratitude. And we'll be asking these questions. You'll be able to interact live using the Mentimeter app. If you're watching the recording, I encourage you to share in the comments as you're watching this replay. What is your response to these questions? Again, just building a system to support a habit of gratitude. So the first thing that we'll take a look at is something you like about where you live. So before we turn it over to hearing your responses, MJ and I put our gratitude responses in. MJ, you want to talk about your house?
I had to pick one picture, and this house was built in 1864, and it makes me happy. I love my front veranda. My grandparents, both grandparents, had front verandas, and I live in a tiny village where people wave at people when they go by, and 12 months of the year, doesn't matter the weather, we'll be out there for a cup of tea at some point. And I love the history. I love the little village that I live in. I love the community that checks in on me. I grew up in Montreal, so I'm now in a little village in New Brunswick. And I love the fact that when people are sick, they bring meals to people's houses and people check in, and there are church potlucks. And it's sort of like a step back in time. Mm-hmm. And so I love my little village, and I love my old house.
And I live kind of in the opposite environment, but it's what works for me. I live in downtown Iowa City. So I live in an apartment. I'm an empty nester. So living in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment with my dog, Easton, works very well. What I am grateful for is the opportunity to get outside multiple times a day to walk the dog. We do that first thing in the morning, so it helps me get some early morning fresh air. sunshine when it's actually out there, but just to experience kind of that start to the day is what I appreciate about where I live. So this is a chance for you to put into the app or share in the comments something that you are grateful for about where you live. And once you submit your response, we'll see it populate on the screen. Oh, yeah, sense of community, living near a national park, neighbors. Oh, yes, beautiful, beautiful to have that community, trails for hiking, an outdoor patio. And so these are things, just every day we take for granted. How often do you stop to think about, I'm really grateful for the space
Yeah.
that I live in? So it's a great opportunity for that type of reflection. So our next is to share something you're grateful for about a furry family member. Maybe somebody you have as a furry family member now, maybe it's somebody that you had, as you were growing up, or at some point in your life, you've had someone you consider part of your family who's of the furry variety. And MJ, you want to share Nixon?
This is Nixon. He is not named after the president. He's named after a snowboard company, and he was my daughter's dog. She got him as a rescue dog when living in an apartment that did not allow pets. So it was not long after that that Nixon came to live with us. And when I was beginning my journey and trying to meditate, I would pet Nixon, and Nixon has been my ally. When I need a smile, I picture his tail wagging as we walk. So he has brought me great comfort. And I've always had furry friends, and I think I always will.
Yeah, I'm the same. Easton is my buddy. He's a Basenji, which isn't a rare breed. It's just not necessarily a popular breed. And he's been my buddy for almost 15 years, and we've been through a lot of not so grateful, but yet still able to benefit from the goodness type of experiences. And so, as you're thinking about your own furry family member, either one now or one from the past, what's something you're grateful for about a furry friend in your life? Oh, snuggles. Yes, snuggles are always good. Unconditional love makes us happy. There's times that Easton MJ said Nixon was named after a snowboard company. Easton is named after a baseball bat company. My children were active athletes and played baseball. And so, yeah, that's where Easton got his name, laughing at the cat's antics. Yes, I think also not just the love for our furry family members, but they definitely do things that make us laugh. And here's a couple of examples of things that make us laugh. Now, I am a fan of laughing at myself, even if no one is laughing with me. And there was a time, this was 2 years ago, I think, that I found and I wasn't active on Snapchat, so I didn't know anything about all the filters and stuff, but I found that the camera app on my laptop could do like these funny faces. And I had the craziest time taking pictures of myself using this app. And I think just being able to take your life seriously without necessarily taking yourself seriously all the time, that's a big part of who I am. MJ, I know you were sharing that Nixon makes you laugh also.
Well, Nixon likes to crawl under the covers. So this is him. He tucks himself in. So I always get a good giggle at him. And these are my three kids, and they always make me laugh. They're very witty, and they can get a quip out. They're quick on the draw. And on this day, we're out hiking in Whistler, and I saw afterwards, I had landed on the plane that morning, and I was wearing an undershirt to travel because it was more comfortable. And after the picture, I said, "Oh my God, this is my reminder to wear a bra." To which my oldest said, "Don't worry, Mom, nobody wears bras in Whistler." And I said, "It's not a good look for a 62 year
Oh
old."
my God.
So they're always funny, they're supportive, and they make each other smile too. And so I'm thankful, grateful for their love, their humor, and they make me happy.
Yeah, for sure. So again, a chance for you to reflect on something. Maybe it's someone who makes you laugh. And I definitely had to add my kids to that too. Girlfriends. Yeah, I think we're, for me, a day without laughter is a day that's not as full as it could be. I have two boys. One is 22, the one 23 and 21, and they are very sarcastic humans, and their sarcasm just yeah can catch me off guard in good and not so good ways, but it's always worth making me laugh. Silly sitcoms. Oh, I'm a huge fan of like just stupid movies like Dumb and
Yeah,
Dumber, things that movies that don't make me have to think. And
yeah.
every once in a while I need something like that. So I love the variety we have here. Gratitude for something your body can do. And my body has been able to do different things at different times in my life. At one time, I was a marathon athlete and did marathons for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's team and training. So I was able to raise funds for a nonprofit while participating in an endurance event. And so that was my first marathon. My running days are over thanks to aging knees, but I now stay active in yoga. And being in a college community, my yoga studio is filled with 20 somethings. And for me in my 50s to be able to keep up in a heated yoga aerobics class many times makes me feel pretty good. And I'm pretty proud that I can even be in that room. MJ, I know you've had some similar experiences too.
Well, I found on these 5 years that I've gotten back to being fit. The picture at Whistler is with my friend that we learned to ski together when we were 7. She lives out there now. And I went skiing with some of my grown-up friends, but then I finished the afternoon with my son, who remarked that, "Mom, you ski different than those other 60 somethings." So I can go from the top of Whistler to the bottom now, and I credit my alcohol-free living for that. And I rediscovered biking on this journey. So I'm just grateful to have the joys of my youth back again, and they still make me just as happy. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. So what about you? What are some things that you're grateful your body has allowed you to be able to do? And I was even thinking about that as you were talking, MJ. I mean, just the fact that my body is able to heal, and
Yeah.
not just in an emotional or a spiritual or, other senses, but really to be able to heal from injuries or from sickness. You know, I have asthma, and so being able to bounce back faster when I have an asthma episode is something that I'm grateful for, just to be able to speed up that healing. Ultra marathon and yoga. Marianne, is that you?
Yeah.
Yay.
Wow.
Good deal. Grace, Dana, swimming laps.
Ooh,
Absolutely. Swimming. Oh, I miss that. We do have a pool here in the building where I live, but it's small. Spinning classes, lots of swimming. I love water.
me too.
I live in Iowa, so other than rivers, I'm pretty landlocked. But any chance that I have to hit the beach is definitely high on my priority schedule. So being able
I
to
was, sorry,
go ahead.
I was grateful. We live on the St. John River, but they put in a swimming dock, the village did this summer. And I was so grateful for that. It had a ladder, it made getting in and out. And I just kept running around the village asking friends, do you want to go swimming? Do you want to play? And it was amazing the people that said yes. So I swam with former students in their 20s. I swam with a lady who was 75. So people will, I'm grateful that people will come play when you
Play,
ask
yes.
them.
I love that word, play. We don't work that into our daily active living very often, or as often as we should. So another way of staying active, at least in the mind component, is reading. And so our next question is something about a book that you have recently read or are reading that you're grateful for. I am an avid reader, but not necessarily in the book sense. I will listen to a lot of Audible, a lot of podcasts, and that actually started right when my AF journey started, which was the beginning of COVID, and couldn't, necessarily go out and get books at the bookstore, which is something I love doing. I That's when I got started on the podcast and quit lit. But these days I spend a lot more time with hard copies, and I'll listen on Audible at the same time. So not only will
Me
I
too.
hear it, I'll read it and I'll highlight what really stands out. So a couple of my favorites: Atlas of the Heart, pretty much anything from Brene Brown, Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Two that I'm doing currently, I am starting mindfulness teacher training on Monday, and this is one of the required readings as part of that book. It's the Mindful 20 something, because the program is geared toward college age adults. So I'm diving into that. And then my leadership work, which is actually the foundation for my values work, is a book called The Leadership Challenge. But MJ, I love the ones that you added here too.
Well, the top one, I was inspired by Haley, because she kept talking about Joe Dispenza, and she said that his work in mindset had such an impact on her. So this is one I just got about a week ago. And like you, I do Audible and books because I can fit more in. I was happy when she said yesterday in her post, he can be heavy and take some thinking, because it's powerful, but I know I'm going to have to go back and really reflect on it. But I wanted to understand mindset better. So that's that one. Matthew Perry, I love Friends, and I really wanted to hear and understand, because I think he put forward a brave face when the world around him was really in the background crumbling. And he's very honest here. And it was a hard listen at times. That one I'm listening to, but I thought it was important, and he's totally vulnerable in this book. I usually also have a novel on the go for my sheer pleasure. And so I flip between books. And if I'm into something I really want to understand, I will have the book and because I need to see the words eventually.
Yep.
Like you, Audible was incredibly, and the library audiobooks were so important in my journey. When I was struggling at night, I would listen again. I'd listen to a podcast. I literally fell asleep, I think, for 3 weeks, and I just let Alcohol Explained play through the night. I was going on the hope that my brain was taking it in while I was sleeping. But when I struggled, I listened. Now I honestly can't fall asleep without listening to something. But I figure that's a healthy choice over thinking I needed a drink to fall asleep. So listening is important for me.
Absolutely. So what about you? What are some books you recently read, books you're reading? I need to reinforce what MJ said about the Matthew Perry book, especially listening to it because he does the narration. And I think it's incredibly powerful anytime an author narrates their own work, but especially here because we just hear the emotion and some of the raw pain that he experienced. That is the first book listening to that kind of gave me, I don't know, I got really emotionally distraught at a couple of them because it was so close to my own story. And I think anytime you identify with somebody else's story, it just reinforces the fact that we aren't alone, despite the fact that we often feel like we are, or at least I often felt like I was. Atomic Habits, yes, yes, and yes.
Big one, yeah.
Yep, to that one. The Untethered Soul. I don't know that one.
Sorry, go ahead. Whoever's reading it, share.
I'm reading it. I just picked it up from the library. I had gotten it several times before, and it's a very popular book. And I've got so many books that I'm reading, I had to keep returning it. So it's by somebody called Michael Singer. And I was listening to a Naked Mind podcast months ago, and one of the coaches in training was talking about reading it and how it was giving her such release during her divorce. So I want to explore that further because I think just the title, I think gives us an insight into like untethering ourselves, releasing ourselves from maybe past beliefs or hopes or something like that. And so it's sitting on my couch. I'm finishing Breathe, which I'm reading. I'm a yoga instructor, and we all breathe incorrectly. So this book was recommended to me. But The Untethered Soul, before it's due back at the library. I got a lot of books from the library because I would be broke if I bought every book that somebody recommended.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. A lot of other ones on here too. The self-love workbook, Accidental Soberista.
I don't know that one. Who's reading that?
Grace, is that yours?
Yes, it's mine. I'm
What's it
reading
like?
it for another group that I'm in. And so it's good. It's good. I don't have it in front. I forgot the name of the author. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
It's kind
just
of funny as well. The person
good.
who writes it, and about her journey and her alcohol-free journey. I mean, there's no way she wanted to give it up, but sounds like me. So, and then she said, "Okay, somebody's doing it. I guess I'll do it. January, whatever." And I believe she was from Ireland or something. So it's kind of good. And I like the lightheartedness as well. Not just, oh boy, how bad am I?
Yes.
So I like the lightheartedness of it. And I always go back to the Atomic Habits. I have it downloaded permanently. So I'll go back and forth to that one. The other one is Radical Acceptance.
Oh, I've heard
I
of
love
that
her. Her and the mindfulness things that she does, and it's just so important to the acceptance of where you are right now.
Right. Yes. Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
These are so fun. I love hearing new titles, even ones that I've heard of, but didn't know anybody who has actually dived into them. This is great stuff to be able to reflect on.
I
ahead.
find the Untethered Soul, and then his follow-up last year is Living Untethered. They're like the Joe Dispenzas. They really require a read, digest, reflect, reread. He says a lot there, but you have to take it in chunks and reflect on it.
Good to
But
know.
he is quite amazing.
Good to know. Yeah. So now we've been sharing and reflecting on some of the moments and thoughts of gratitude, reasons we have to be grateful. And now we're going to ask you to make a shift. We talked early on about gratitude being an inside job where it begins, and then having the opportunity to express that to others. So instead of the Mentimeter, we're asking you to take a minute and to call or text or message someone right now who has filled your cup. And doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter why you call, why you text, simply to say thank you. I will guarantee you will make their day. So we're just going to pause for a minute so that we each can take the opportunity to express gratitude for someone who has filled our cups. If you're like me, chances are many names and people and places and things came to mind of what fills your cup. And I like the intentionality around this, because many moments go by every day when we have the opportunity to pause and express mindful gratitude. That's someone in the grocery store who maybe holds the door open for you or pushes the cart your direction. Millions of times a day, we can pause. And if we're not in the moment to express gratitude, we can at least observe it. And I think the more deliberate we are around that practice, then the more it will become just a natural flow for us in how we go about our days. So not just pausing, but actually taking the opportunity to tell someone thank you is a big part for us. And then, of course, for the individuals we're thanking for being a part of our cup filling opportunities. Anyone have one example to share?
I'll share the last time we did this that I wrote to Scott Pignard, because as a coach, he had really influenced me. He was also my path coach when Angie and I were in the path. And he actually replied within the window of while we were sitting there. And it really touched me that he took the time to reply. But it was also important for me to tell him how much his just his energy, his joy for the life he had built inspired me.
Yeah, that's a great example. Thank you for that. So I think building this this system, this, like we talk about in Atomic Habits, talks about it frequently. You know, you need to create a system in order to support a habit before it can become more natural. And doing things like this, like hosting gratitude encounters, is something I've done, I think, for 2 or 3 years. I did one on my birthday 2 years ago. And when I celebrated my 1,000 days of my journey back in October, I hosted a gratitude encounter. And it always, I always kind of, it's an aha moment for me that I don't need to host or be part of a gratitude encounter to benefit from the acts of gratitude. And sometimes I know I set myself up for, it has to be this grandiose event, but the reality is that it just needs to become something that we do intentionally. My friend Kevin Monroe is actually a gratitude consultant. So he works with companies who want to integrate gratitude as part of their workplace. And so he was the one who introduced me to gratitude encounters. And we do a lot of collaboration. He's co-hosted with me, I've co-hosted with him. And I just love how he's captured really what can be a daily gratitude intention for all of us, and even to use it as a framework to really talk about our own daily intentions. So I'm going to share that with you. Today, I'm going to experience, express, and enjoy the power of gratitude. As I go through this day, I will remember that gratitude is a choice. It's my choice. Being grateful is how I want and choose to show up in the world and for others in my world. I will respond to whatever comes my way today with gratitude. To do that, I must remember that I always have a choice. I choose how I want to respond. No one takes that choice from me. No one can. And there is always a moment between stimulus and response. Always. And there is always something to be grateful for. Today, I will pause in those moments to find something to be grateful for. I will share the power of gratitude with others as I have invitation and opportunity. I will be a beacon of light and a voice of hope. I will inspire others to be grateful. Today, gratitude is the path I choose to walk, knowing that gratitude is the gateway to a life of abundance, kindness, and love. So just those words, even as I'm reading them, it's such a reinforcement to me for how I want to show up, not just to myself, but also to the people I love and the situations that I choose to spend my time in. So as I promised, we'll reflect back on those questions we asked you at the beginning to see how we've filled our cups.
My Mentimeter disappeared.
Did you find it?
Yeah, I've got to put the code back in.
If I'm remembering correctly, we were at 7.3, 7.6.
7.6, yeah.
Okay. The first time we reflected, and man, we've made some remarkable accomplishments just in the hour that we spent together. And, you know, a 7.6 is still pretty darn good, but you can see the benefits of spending this hour in the power of gratitude, even for those of us who consider ourselves pretty grateful and a lot to be grateful for. These experiences of expressing and enjoying spending time in gratitude, the benefit is really immense and immeasurable as we continue through our day. So that's what MJ and I have to share with you. Thank you for those of you who are with us live. Obviously, when you're using a live engagement like Mentimeter, it helps when you actually have people going along the process with you. But I also like that for those of you who are watching the recording, again, taking the time to pause, maybe write down for yourself how you would respond to those questions, taking a mindful moment to express gratitude for someone who's filled your cup. Those are all lasting benefits that you can incorporate as you go about your day, your week, your month, and just keep making progress on your own mindful alcohol-free journey. MJ, anything you want to wrap up with?
I'm just grateful for you guys for being here. And as Angie has said, I really encourage you. I used to feel these things, but not always say them. And I do take the time now, my walking buddy in the morning, the people I encounter, just telling them how grateful I am for them. And it fills their cup, but it fills my cup too, because just the connections grow. So thank you for being here. And Grace and Dana, we've known each other. Marianne, it's nice to see a face. And I just appreciate all of you very much. So I am grateful for my community here too.
Absolutely. Grateful for
I am.
all of you.
Grateful for you
It
too.
was,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Nice to be
This
here.
was great.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.